Okay, what we're going to take a look at now is what we can do to take a look at our queries and possibly optimize them as well. And we'll head back to VS Code. Let's close all of this down. And what we want to take a look at is our terminal where we're running .NET Run. Now, if you're not seeing the same information as me, then this is controlled via appsettings.development.json, and I've got the Microsoft one there set to information. If you don't have this set to information, you won't see any detail about the queries you're making to the database. So I'm just going to open up the terminal, and inside here what we'll do, let's get it nice and big and see as much as possible about the queries. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the messages for Bob, and if we go and take a look at the query we're making here, then we can see it's quite a big one. We're selecting everything from a user. Then we're doing some inner joins, left joins, where, order by. You might even see a warning at this point, although I'm not seeing it here, about the number of join queries we're making here. And if you do, then we're going to do something to address that now. So what we want to do is deal with this and make this a much cleaner query. So what we'll do, we'll head over to our message repository where this query is being built. And remember, this is the one for getting the message thread, this one here. So what are we doing here then that's making this query so big? Well, first of all, we're including the related properties. We've got an include for the sender and a len include for the photos, and the same for the recipient. And we need that information because we're populating our message DTO with the sender details, their username, their known as, and we also need that so that we can get their main profile image as well. And then we're ordering by the message sent, and then we're sending this to a list. Once we have the list, then we're going into our unread messages and checking them to see if there's any that are unread, and then we're marking them with the date read, date time now. And then we're going out and mapping this into a message DTO. Well, let's try something different. And instead of doing the mapping down here, let's try doing the projection before we send it to a list. So what we'll do is we'll use the project to, we've used this before, and we're going to say that we're going to project to a message DTO. And we're going to pass in our mapper and the configuration provider. Now this gives us an error. It says it doesn't have a property of recipient because this is our message DTO now that we've projected into. So when we look at our unread messages, well, it's not sure what this is, but as soon as we use project to, then now we're working with a message DTO. So what we can do, because the message DTO does contain a recipient username property, we can use that one instead. And the error should go away. And what we want to do then is we don't need to map down here anymore, and we can just return the messages. Now let's go and take a look at what that small change has done for us. And in fact, we don't need the include statements anymore if we're using projection. So let's go and take a look. Have we made any improvements? And let's open up the terminal once again. And I'm just going to go back to the messages. I'm just going to click on About Bob and then go back to the messages, and we'll see our query inside our terminal. And what we can see now is we've got a much cleaner query. We're not seeing all of the noise that we had before. And that's good. So now we're just selecting what we actually need from the database rather than getting everything and then sorting it out from then. And it looks like Signal R is doing its thing as well at the same time as I'm trying to explain this. But we've still got our joins, they're essential, and we've still got our where, and we've still got our order by, but this is a much cleaner query than we had before. Let's try another one. And for this we'll go to Postman just to make sure that so we don't have to keep refreshing the browser and moving around. And in section 15 we were looking at, let's clean all of these open windows. And in section 16 we were looking at messages. So if I say get the default messages for Lisa, or get the outbox for Lisa, because I know that's got some stuff inside it. And if I click on send, then we see the different messages. But let's go take a look at the query. And once again, we've got quite a significant query here. We've got the count, that's because we're paging in this particular occasion. But then we've got quite a lot of noise going on inside here, particularly this select statement where we're selecting the full entity from Entity Framework. So let's go and see if we can resolve this one. So we'll go to our message repository once again, and let's take a look at the get messages for user. So we're creating our query, and then we're ordering, and we're setting this as a queryable, and then we've got our different query statements, and then we're projecting down here. But what if we projected earlier? What if we projected this query to a DTO? Then it wouldn't need to select so much from the database when it makes these where queries. So what we'll try is we'll take our project 2, and I'll just copy this into my clipboard, and we'll move this under our order by descending. Now we've got some problems here because our message DTO doesn't contain a property for recipient deleted. And these ones are easy enough because we've got the recipient username inside there. And we've got the sender username inside there. And this is going to be recipient username with a lowercase u. And same for the sender as well. Sender username lowercase. And this one should be recipient username. But how do we deal with the recipient deleted and sender deleted? Well, one thing we can do is we can go to our message DTO, and what we can do inside here is we can add a couple of properties. We can add the properties for the Boolean of sender deleted, and we can add the prop of the Boolean for recipient deleted. Now we don't want to send these properties back with our DTO, and as long as these properties match the names inside our actual message entity, then Automapper is going to map these for us directly anyway. But what we can do is specify JSON ignore on these, and if we do this, and we'll need to bring this in from system text JSON, and we'll do the same for the recipient deleted as well, then these are not going to be sent back to the client. But we will have access to them inside our repository after we've projected to a message DTO. So now we've got the recipient deleted and the sender deleted properties inside here. And what we can do now is remove list line, and we can return our query instead of the messages that we were creating earlier. So with that in place, let's check to see how we're doing. Let's open up the terminal once again. We'll need to scroll down past all of the errors that were created as we were making changes, and let's go take a look. So I'm just going to run that request once again. Click on send. The request still works. We still get our outbox. And if we go take a look at the query, then it's still a fairly big query, but what we're doing, we've made it a bit cleaner. And we're only selecting what we need from the database now. But if we go to Postman, then notice that something's happened with our date read, and compare this to the message sent. All of a sudden, we've lost our Z from the date read message. And this is annoying, and this is something that's been annoying for quite some time, is that even though we set a date as UTC, it's not stored as UTC. And it's been this way for years. And what we need to do is take a look at another strategy now, because when we set this property inside the get message thread, we're setting it after we've done lists. And then we get our unread messages, and then we mark them with datetime UTC now. But this is after Automapper's done its work, and the only place that we've asked for our date times to be set as UTC was in Automapper. And like I say, this is kind of annoying, and we'll take a look at what we need to do to resolve that next.